And that helps me to keep on pushing, so to push past my own, and I would tell others, push past your own ceilings that sometimes we put on ourselves, and then be able to not get complacent, continuously set new goals, and arm yourself with the new knowledge, skills, and abilities that will help you accomplish those goals.
Guys, welcome to Keep On Pushing Stories, where we share real life stories. We take a deep dive into the mindset of people who have pushed past their limits, overcome obstacles, step out of their comfort zone to achieve amazing things. Because we think that there is a story out there that you can relate to that is going to inspire you. And, I have a real gem today. I'm excited to welcome my friend Eddie Turner to the show. Eddie, welcome to Keep On Pushing, my friend.
Devon, thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure to be with you and meet you, one of my childhood heroes.
No, you're making me sound old, Eddie. I don't know, man, but it's all good. We'll keep pushing on. Um, Eddie, tell us, please, if you would, what it is that you do. How do you serve? How do you bring value to the lives of others?
I work with leaders who are experienced or emerging who want to have an exponential impact on people and organizations. And I do that as an executive coach, a facilitator, and professional speaker.
All right, cool. So, are you working within companies, or are you working with individuals as leaders?
Both. There are individuals who I work with, but most of my work happens inside of organizations. There are corporations that I work with around the world, and there are also universities. And I have a sweet spot for the universities because if you can get leaders early,
Hmm.
it's and help them mold and form early on, there's less you have to do later on in their career. And so if we can bend the arc early, it's really helpful. So there are two or three universities that I'm affiliated with as well.
Talk to us a little bit more, Eddie, about what it is that you work on or work with along with these leaders.
I'm an executive coach. So usually in the corporations, I'm working with director and above,
Hmm.
and helping them re uh, reflect the level of leadership that they want to reflect when they aren't. And then
Right.
also those who are doing well, they realize that, hey, to stay at the top level, they have to, as athletes, have coaches. Corporate athletes need
Hmm.
coaches. And
Hmm.
so they may be firing on all cylinders, doing extremely well, but they realize to keep that competitive edge, you must have someone who's giving you an outside view, a neutral third party that's helping you develop and maintain your edge in a safe, I often call it sacred space because of what unfolds in that space. So there's the executive coaching side, but then there's a leadership coaching side that I do, and at the universities, that's primarily how I function as a leadership coach, helping young people, mid-career professionals develop as a leader. And oftentimes, as you might be aware of, in college, you're not taught how to be a leader. You're
Hmm.
taught skills, you're taught academics, and then you get off to your first jobs, and you're an individual contributor. And along the way, somebody says, "Oh, you're the best at this role. We're going to make you the supervisor. We're going to make you the manager." But nowhere were they ever taught how to be a leader. So they just copy what they've seen, good or bad examples.
Hmm.
And so, helping people learn what it really means to be a leader and helping them uh, define it visually and in words, but then how to implement that to the level that they want to for their own execution.
Indeed. So, Eddie, if someone wanted to benefit from your knowledge and experience and expertise, through some coaching or um, some guidance, how would they find you?
Go to AskEddieTurner.com. I spell Eddie, Eddie. Sometimes people spell it differently.
Yeah, yeah.
AskEddieTurner.com. And you can follow me on social media. I'm on the major social media sites. Follow me, connect with me. And I'm always answering questions for people. They send me requests, and sometimes they just want advice. I give advice because I'm one of Marshall Goldsmith's 100 coaches. And as a part of that, one of the things we believe in is sharing willingly with people. So obviously, I have to make a living. There's certain services I charge for, but I'm always willing to have a conversation and help people.
So repeat that website again.
AskEddieTurner.com.
AskEddieTurner.com. That's where you find the man. Eddie, one of the things that we always are curious about on this show is people's keep on pushing story. We are always curious to know about, a time when someone pushed past their challenges, step out of their comfort zone, etc., to achieve or just to move to the next level. So I'm sure you have a few keep on pushing stories. Please share one with us.
Indeed. For me, Devon, I grew up in a family that, uh, in the community we were in, you would leave high school and go straight and work in the steel mills. And in the steel mills, you could make a nice, solid living. You would stay for 30 years. You would retire with a pension, a gold watch, and live life happily ever after. And you could do that without having to go to a 4-year college and incur debt. So that was what was kind of the norm. Going to college was not necessarily something that was stressed. So I did not go to a traditional college. When I graduated high school, I did a 10-month program that taught me how to build computers. So I kind of broke the mold of not going into the mill in that perspective. But I learned how to build, repair, troubleshoot computers. And that served me well for about 10 years. And I worked at some of the world's what Forbes would call most admired companies. Well, one of those companies was General Electric, and I was in the finance division. I was working with GE Capital. And I got to a certain point where the leaders said, Eddie, we'd love to do more with you, but you don't have a degree. So for the first time in my career, I was being told I didn't qualify for promotion. I didn't qualify to become more at this great organization because I was missing paperwork. And I felt, hey, there's a lot of successful people in the world that don't have degrees. And I would cite all these great examples. But, I wasn't Steve Jobs. I wasn't Mark
They weren't
Zuckerberg
buying
or
it.
these other people.
Yeah, yeah.
And so they said, well, that's okay for them, but we want you to have a degree. So I struggled with that because it was kind of going against the grain for me. It was also the idea of I was married, working for this corporation with a very stressful job. And then I was also very active in my religious life. And so I didn't see where I could even have time. How would I get this accomplished? So finally, I realized I'm stuck. Until I get this degree, my life will not change. And I felt I could do more, but I was not being given the opportunity. So my keep on pushing story was twofold. Number one, making the decision to go ahead and get that degree. And it felt like I was being disloyal in some ways to several constituencies in my life.
Mhm.
So I make the decision, and I went and I told one of my mentors at the corporation, all right, I'm going to go get this degree. He says, great. Where are you going? And I told him about the institution I'd selected. And this was an institution that I could finish it in 18 months. He says, no, you're going to go to the University of Chicago or Northwestern. I was living in Chicago at the time. He said, because that's all we're going to respect. He did not want to hear about me going to some other school with a name he had never heard of that, just didn't measure up to the degrees that everybody else at the corporation had. So that became pivotal. So it wasn't just getting the degree, but where I would get it. So I made the decision to go to Northwestern University. At Northwestern University, I found my why. I didn't know what I didn't know. Here it is. I thought I was successful. I was doing well. Why do I need a degree? And I started to understand something I've always said, that education is not just about a building. Education is a process.
Mhm.
And through the educational process I went through at Northwestern, I became a new person. Number one, the curriculum, the education, but then also something he said to me when he approved of me when I said, okay, I'm going to go Northwestern. He said, okay, you're going to go for the education, but you're really paying for the network. And I would not fully understand what he said until probably 5 or 8 years later, the power of the network of that school. But along the way, one of the things that took place is not just the education and the curriculum, but who was attracted to the school. One night, a guest lecturer was invited to come and serve us. And this guest lecturer said some information that was profound to me. It resonated with me. And I followed up with him afterwards by sending him a thank you note. And he was so impressed that I sent the thank you note that he invited me for coffee. And that coffee turned into a regular routine with he and I. And he at the time was the firm that was the number one executive search firm in the world. He was vice president of global talent and development. He took me under his wing and he taught me the world of learning and talent development, which took me from being an information technology professional to doing the work that I'm doing today. So that career that I love fixing machines. I now fix people.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So you said something, education is not just the building, but the person you become, right? And I would add that it's the knowledge too that you get that helps to transform you into this new person, the experience, the networking. Would you agree?
Yes, yes. Education is not a building, it's a process. And that
Hmm.
process from the curriculum, from the interaction with different people that I never would have interacted with before, from the professors, all of that played a role. In fact, it was those professors who continue to play a role in my life to this day, who I developed friendships with.
Hmm.
But what they were bringing, all that entire process is what changed me.
Well, I read many years ago that, the skill set and the knowledge that you have acquired over the years up to this point in your life will only bring you to where you are now. And it seems to me that, your early years at GE, you felt that you're in your sweet spot. You wanted to move further ahead in the company. But they were saying to you, man, yeah, you're a great guy, but the knowledge and experience that you have this is your ceiling. You needed more, um, which you resisted. Clearly, you eventually came around to seeing what they saw. What advice would you have for someone who finds themselves in your shoe, a similar shoe?
Number one, get a mentor. I didn't have a mentor early on. And once I got a mentor, my life changed because then I had someone who was really interested in me and giving me advice that I didn't even know I needed. So having a mentor is crucial. Get a mentor. And then I discovered that you don't just need one, you need several.
Hmm.
And so I put together a little chart of how people who were in the company served me well, people outside of the company, but in the industry, and then just mentors in general. And so, and at each stage of my life, how I've had to select new mentors to serve me where I'm at. So it's not that I get rid of the older relationships, but it's just that, as Marshall Goldsmith said, what got you here won't get you there.
Right.
So I got one set that took me here. Now I've just set new goals. I need someone who can get me there. And that helps me to keep on pushing. So to push past my own, and I would tell others, push past your own ceilings that sometimes we put on ourselves, and then be able to not get complacent, continuously set new goals, and arm yourself with the new knowledge, skills, and abilities that will help you accomplish those goals.
Indeed. What I guess advice? How would you advise someone in terms of how they should go about selecting a mentor for themselves?
I believe that you, in some cases, look at people who you feel you have um, a great respect for and admiration for, and someone who has accomplished what you're trying to accomplish. And that's one way. Sometimes in organizations, they assign mentors, And that's okay. But I like selecting those individuals and just going up to them and asking them for advice based on what I've seen and developing a relationship. Now, that could be at your place of employment, that could be at your religious institution, that could be someone in your community. Uh, Build your network, I'd say. So, build your
Mhm.
network, and you should be able to select mentors who can help you from there.
Yeah. So, I asked you about the advice you'd give to someone who found themselves in or finds themselves in a shoe that you were in all these years ago. You spoke about the fact that they should get a mentor. Is that the biggest lesson, or have you walked away from that entire experience with some other lessons that you can share with us?
Be a continuous learner. And I was in IT, information technology, where everything changes so fast that you always have to keep learning. You cannot get complacent. And so I had multiple certifications, and I was always achieving the next certification for the new products, but I didn't translate that to other areas of my life. So I say be a continuous learner, not just at what you are doing for a profession, but overall in your life. Because I liken it to what happens for the degree. When I went back to get that degree, they didn't have me just studying information technology. They had me studying history. They had me studying business, organizations, finance, which I stink at, but right, architecture.
Right.
So it was about making a complete person, a well-rounded individual who can now walk into an organization and bring a complete mindset, a fuller picture. And that's what I didn't realize I was missing. I knew my technology really well, but here are other elements of life and society and being a functional adult who's contributing that I was lacking and I didn't know I was lacking. So be a continuous learner, not just in what you do for a living, but constantly adding to your depth of knowledge on a variety of areas so that you can be a continuously functioning adult in your organization and in society at large.
Indeed. Because what got you here won't get you there, being a continuous
Yes.
learner. Eddie, this I know someone's going to benefit from this, man, because all of us in our own journey find ourselves in a place where we think we're in our sweet spot, but we also know that we want more. We're capable of more, and there seems to be that ceiling that we keep bumping into. And what I'm learning from you is that, yeah, one, find some mentors who are going to challenge you and push you out of your comfort zone, or get you to get out of your comfort zone. And as you do that, you start acquiring some new knowledge, developing some new skills that are going to help you to soar. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Um, Guys, if you found this valuable, please drop a like, but more importantly, or just as importantly, make sure you share this with someone else as well so that they can be inspired. Eddie, thank you so much for sharing your Keep On Pushing story with us.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. And you out there, you know the deal. Keep on pushing.